On the site of Belfast's Thompson graving dock, where in 1911 the Titanic and her sister ship the Olympic both had their hulls painted and their propellers fitted, stands the Pumphouse. This ornate red brick building was constructed to pump water from both the Thompson Dock and the adjacent Alexandra Dock during ship construction. After falling into disrepair over several decades, the building has been brought back to its former glory, with every brick and arched window lovingly restored to host Belfast's first working distillery in almost 90 years. Opening to the public in April 2023, Titanic Distillers, housed in this now listed building, welcomes visitors hoping to learn a little more about the heritage of Belfast's famous docks and sample some traditional Irish whiskey. As part of the refurbishment programme, Atlas World, a leading fire installation company, also based in Belfast, were commissioned to install a brand new Hochiki life safety system. Gavin Nesbitt, the technical sales manager at Atlas World, knew this would be a complex job, not only because the building was listed, but also because of the methods used during the distilling process.
We learned quite quickly that the process of making whiskey can be pretty dangerous. There's the potential for fire occurring from the release of flammable compounds such as ethanol, for example, and with this wonderful building being listed, this added another level of complexity to the fire system design and installation. We installed a system using Hochiki's ESP addressable range. Using multi-sensors and optical sensors, this enabled us to program the sensitivity of the devices depending on the environment, for example, to cope with on-site steam and heat. We can adapt the sensor parameters to not only keep everyone safe, but to help reduce the risk of false alarms. For a distillery which also operates as a tourist venue, false alarms are not only hugely disruptive to the operation itself, but can cost the distillery a lot of money and can be damaging for their reputation as a safe tourist spot. I've no doubt that Hochiki's products have dramatically reduced the risk of false alarms for our customers here.
A key priority for the distillery owners was to ensure that this listed building was not damaged in any way. And so the National Trust and a specialist archaeologist were recruited to ensure that any works carried out would be done so empathetically.
Atlas World needed to ensure that all the work carried out complied with the specifications set out by the heritage experts. Aesthetically, the design of Hochiki products is modern but simple, so they could just blend into the background, do their job, all without detracting from or impacting on the surroundings. This was a feature that was particularly important to Titanic Distillers.
Well, right now we're inside the Pumphouse at Titanic Distillers at Thompson Dock. This Pumphouse was originally constructed to facilitate the dock that's just outside. It closed operations in 2001, and as of this May we have turned it into a visitor centre and a distillery next door. Yeah, so like from a site manager, I obviously want it to be fairly simple, that we can train our staffs and duty managers on to make sure that A, we're protecting the building, but also we're protecting our assets. I suppose this is a listed building, and so from kind of a restoration and preservation point of view, you don't want anything going wrong with the building, particularly when we're not on site. So it's really important for us that we have that, but equally then from a whiskey producing side of things and a HMRC side of things, we want to make sure that our assets in the distillery and the liquid we're producing is also protected. We're protecting the kind of ground that we're walking on, but we're also very conscious that we've got public now coming in and out of that listed building and national monument, but also a working distillery. So it's important for us that we're protected from that point of view, and that the general public are also protected.
Following the project at Titanic Distillers, Hochiki are now my go-to supplier, having seen the standard, reliability and ease of install. I loved how easy the products were to fit out, especially in comparison to our competitors. Plus, the range is so vast, you can pick and mix depending on the requirements of the project. I would not hesitate to recommend Hochiki for future projects.